Documentary on Woodstock over the weekend, and one thing about Woodstock is Woodstock represented this movement of love, of understanding, of freedom. And when I was watching this, it was almost like a parallel of that, and even deeper, because this was the generation of, and the people who created that energy that the people from Woodstock were feeding off of, African Americans. So you guys took it to a whole nother level. Let's talk about the energy of the Funk Jazz Cafe. Let's talk about the energy of Diary of a Decade. And you can start, Jay. And just go wherever you want, man. Where?
The energy is, this is the energy. All of these people, including yourself, you know, the community, the arts community in Atlanta is very rich. That section on non-commercial radio had to do that. Not a lot of cities have 4 or 5 non-commercial stations that, you know, you could just flip and hear Anthony David, flip and hear the Chronicle. You know, I had to get on John. It's like, man, did y'all register that, man? That thing been playing for years, man. Y'all could be getting some publishing over that. You know what I mean? But it's been playing. You have been playing it for years. You know what I'm saying? So the radio stations are important. I want to say sometimes print media is supportive. Maybe they've supported y'all, maybe. Yeah? Okay. Sometimes. But in the artists, you know, like we said, Maurice Evans and all the other visual artists, you know, and it's just a rich community of various artists. You know what I mean? Very rich. So that is the energy. You know what I mean? I don't think musically we could have started without the energy of John and the Chronicle. I think that's impossible. It just wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the truth. I mean, I'm just not big it up. I mean, that's the actual truth. You know, and then, you know, Joy asked me to do an interview with her on one of her things tonight. I was like, I owe it to you. How many times have I come to you and asked you to do something with me? Or just said, hey, we playing at the Vibe tonight, or Lil Jon to tell we playing at the Vibe tonight. And we've been fortunate to have these talents, Janelle Monáe around us. You know what I mean? Goody Mob. You know what I mean? Outkast, a whole dungeon. I mean, this is, and we've also fought to make sure Atlanta was on the map. I mean, I don't know, when I used to go to New York all the time, and you know, we were bouncing and stuff back in the early 90s, and they were playing hard East Coast boom bap, and they were like, you know, that stuff would never work. And I was like, it's gonna take over. It's gonna take over the world. And if you come to Atlanta, it's 3 commercial stations that's playing it to death in rotation. You know what I mean? You're gonna like this in a minute, you know? So it's this, whereas we were all trying to do something very different. We like it, we'll touch it, but we don't want to live there. You know what I mean? In terms of that space and thought. You know, just being here in this environment, this red clay, is something special. You know what I mean? Like Deion Ferris said, there's no place like Atlanta. You know, this is a very special place. So, you know, I've been fortunate to even like work with Ron and Craig, and, you know, in the aspect that we work together. You know, very helpful, and just we execute. You know what I mean? In order to see something bigger, better, stronger. Hey, Ron, remember when we stopped doing funk jazz for a while? And we used to keep a little calendar on the wall and be like, August we want to be here. You know what I mean? January we want to be on tour. We have to come back and ask John and them what they have plans for and what they're doing. And then we're like, well, we're trying to do this. And then we have to go out and solicit sponsorship. And then after we were done, we were like, for a while, it's like, man, you know, the whole time we thought we was losing.
Hey, let me say something else. Building on the energy part, one of the things that was really important, an important component of our event is when people would bring those canned goods. I mean, we collected tons of food donations. People we don't even know have been touched by that. I mean, we fed people.
Yeah, we really did.
And that's thriving off of the energy and kind of making it more of a communal situation where we reciprocate. everybody reciprocates. And that was one of the things that, as far as you also mentioned about going towards the future. I mean, as we learn and as we educate ourselves, we enable ourselves to accomplish more, we empower ourselves, and that makes us feel good about who we are. So how we think and how we feel about ourselves allows us the ability to tap into that our highest good.
Right.
And we share that with everybody. And that's something that we're proud of.
And that's important. And I want to also, and I want to move to Craig Love. And Jason, you touched on something really important when you talked about that this movement was born out of this red clay. And, you know, one thing that people forget about Georgia, because I think we have to look at where we are. And one thing about Georgia is, out of all the states in this union, Georgia produced more innovators, musical innovators, than any other state. I mean, when you look at it, James Brown created funk. You had Ray Charles, who created soul. You had Dr. Thomas Dorsey from Villa Rica, who created gospel music. A lot of people don't know that. You had Fletcher Henderson, who created the concept of the big band. You know, this all came from Georgia. And I'm from Georgia. I'm straight from College Park. You know? That's Keisha Pine Tree Subdivision. Miss College Park. But I think that piece is probably one of the most important pieces in this, because for a long time, you know, growing up in Atlanta, when people would come here from New York, they would call us bumpkins. They would look at us like we were, you know, wearing overalls and just hay out our mouth. You know? But then they came down and they saw a sincere vibration. You want to add on to that, Craig? And just what it means to be from Atlanta and why this is so important for the city.
Well, I've done a lot of traveling, and in my estimation, to be an African American or to be a black person, this has got to be the best place in the world to live, by far. But I think it's important that everyone understand where you are and what you have, because if you're not interested, then this doesn't happen. You know, and I think that the industry would love to turn us into just one type of music, you know. But Atlanta won't let that happen. Anthony David won't let that happen. B.O.B. won't let that happen. You know, Outkast won't let that happen. And there's too many names, you know. Young Joy Gilligan, who I used to play with when we was 5 or 6 years old, she ain't gonna let it happen. And I think that that's really very important. I think everyone needs to be interested. Be very interested in your arts in general. Because if you don't have your arts, you don't have a life. You don't have a life. You know, so that's pretty much what I have to say on that.
Yeah. And to piggyback off that, there's a famous quote by Maya Angelou, and she says, "Art tenderizes the soul." And when you really look at that, it's really deep, because art makes us human. It makes us who we are. And this is all about art. This was all about art as a foundation. So again, we got to big up Jason for being a visionary, putting this together, understanding how important it is, and making sure that the world sees this. And I pray that the entire world sees this, Jay, because I know when they see this, after they see this, not only is their perspective of Americans and Atlantans going to change, but I think it's going to really represent our entire generation. Because when I'm 80 years old, God willing, and I look back, this is going to be the document that makes me proud.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, it had to happen, man. I mean, we're just coming out of that. And I wanted to say this earlier when I was introducing the film, but just to kind of prep you going into it, as you watch this, we're still in that transition. It's like the second hand on the clock. You don't see it moving, but it's moving. You know what I'm saying? We're still in that transition, but we're at a point where we can, like with Tony's single, I mean, that was #1, produced by DJ Kimmett, that's here in Atlanta. You can do a lot of things.
You hear that here? I hear it all over the world.
All over the world. I mean, I've heard it in Louisiana, on Tom Joyner, and all kind of stations, you know what I'm saying? So, and I feel very proud when I hear it, you know what I mean? Or if I'm listening to French radio and I hear Hot, Heavy, and Bad remix. Have you heard that joint? Yeah, it sounds good to you. Yeah, Radio Nova, French radio, they play it. You know what I'm saying? So, this is the type of thing that I think we're just at a place where observe the people around you, support the people around you who are trying to do something, because we have a tendency of kind of shooting people down. Oh, you singing now, huh? You fancy, huh? You trying to do something. You damn right I'm trying to do something. And you have to take that attitude. Be like, oh, you trying to wear white? I'm wearing white. Yeah, you gotta be strong with it, say it with confidence, but instead of, you know, kind of demeaning somebody, support, say, okay, I like to see what you're doing. Like Richard said about his daughter, like, you better bring a song back. You still gotta bring a song back. So, you know, I'm glad to be here in Atlanta. I think this is, Funk Jazz Cafe couldn't happen no place else. I often think of that. I'm like, maybe DC, you know, they love the funk and everything, but no, it couldn't happen anyplace else. This is yours. And what we've done is immortalize it. You know what I'm saying? So, and now what we want to do is make new stuff and go forward. You know what I'm saying? So if we come talk about now we want to wear green, don't be like you're trying to wear green now, huh? You used to wear that white.
Jason, can I ask you a question? With Diary of the Decade being a pivotal point in this transition that you just spoke about, what do you think will come from Atlanta moving forward? Because what we see right now is kind of bleak and gray.
Yeah, like when John said, he come off the road, man, he's playing social resto and there's not a lot of people in there. You know what I mean? But us. I think what this might inspire and bring attention to is the people who are here and go out and tell other people that, yeah, pay attention to this community or the broader community of the arts. And Funk Jazz Cafe, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, grassroots again, because there's some people behind us, there's some younger people that I'm always tripped out by their talents. You know, it's
will multinational corporations see it? I'm not trying to take over your job, but I'm just saying.
That's a lecturer, y'all. A real one.
Will multinational corporations see it before we see it? Or get it?
You know, that's a good question. Because what I see them trying to do, or might do, is, oh, that was hot, Jason. You know, we should do something together. Are they gonna run with it? Or they gonna, again, yeah, that's why I said they're imitation.
But they're never gonna be the same.
No, it'll never be the same.
That's my thing. That's my question to you. But how can we keep it ours without somebody coming in? Yeah, I like to start shit.
Well, you know they said
I mean ours.
Yeah, but no, but we're gonna change the filter that it comes through, so it is ours.
Yeah.
We'll share it.
A good portion of that. That part right there actually seems like some of the parts that I actually, it's something that we've been a part of, that we create, and if you have an influence, you should let that influence spread the way it's supposed to spread. You have no control over it.
Now, nobody's gonna take it over.
What is that?
That's not gonna happen.
Like, what do you,
no.
Did you take it over? I mean, I don't understand that. Yeah, I understand that too, but we're not afraid of that. But we're not afraid of that. We're not afraid of that. We don't fear that. I would answer it better that way. Not afraid of that. I feel like I don't know what influences I've gotten from somebody else's thing, and be it coming through something corporate or not, and I'm proud of it. You know what I mean? That's why I feel like there was a really good thing that the film did, and it showed what the work and the love that everybody in here that came, and we're preaching sort of to the choir, but right now that's what we're preaching to, but then this film is an example of what you could spread to the next generation. I don't really see any.
And what the next generation can do.
Yeah, like it's an inspiration more so.
Yeah, I'm talking about white people stealing our ideas in sports, in any area of entertainment, arts. They always steal stuff from us and make crazy money off of it. That's what I'm saying.
And in part, that's why I wanted to do this, because before somebody took it from us, you know what I mean, or came and imitated it. You know, look, we come from a generation where on MTV Made, they would be showing some little white girl how to break dance or how to rap. I mean, every week is something. It's like, man, we're giving it away again. You know what I'm saying? And not claiming it. You know what I'm saying? So this is something that I wanted to, at least with us in this community, I feel like we've had global reach. Global reach. We had to document it and make it official. So anybody